Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're going to get started in just a minute. I appreciate you all coming to join the live, and I hope you didn't have too much problem logging on. Still working a little bit on the technology behind this. I tend to have schedules that then disappear right before it's time to go live. So still trying to figure out if I need to schedule each live for each platform on its own device that I use. But anyway, I'm Dr. Frank Cadle with the Get Fit and Be Lean program that I use to lose over 20% of my body weight in 2021. I lost more than 5 inches off my waist. I lowered my cholesterol by more than 20 points. I lowered my resting heart rate by more than 30 beats a minute. And I did all of this without any medications and its cost and attendant side effects. In fact, I was able to get off of my reflux heartburn medication. I did it without any surgery and its danger of complications even years later. And I've shown how I do it every step of the way, starting January 1st of 2021 on my TikTok platform. And then I migrated here to Instagram and YouTube in order to try and reach a broader audience with a message that you can achieve this. I haven't purchased any equipment, haven't engaged in any subscription or enrollment or used any software other than the video software that I've been using all along. And so I want to make sure that people understand that this is something they can do. This week we're talking about calories. Calories are an engineering term. This comes from the Industrial Revolution when we needed to know how much heat energy was contained in different fuels. And a calorie is the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 square centimeter or 1 gram of water 1 degree centigrade, and a specific degree, not just any degree. So it's a very technical engineering term that then in the late 1800s, a fellow named Atwater wanted to try and use to indicate what was the energy available in the food that we eat. And he did it in a very engineering way. He put the food in a chamber of 100% oxygen and oxidized it and burned it and saw how much it would raise the temperature of water and determined that that was a calorie. So why don't I count calories in the Get Fit and Be Lean program? Well, this was a pretty off-the-cuff experiment that was performed back in the 1800s, and it turns out it really doesn't deal at all with how we actually digest kilocalories, okay? 1,000 calories that are typically the type of things listed on the foods that you buy. Our ability to extract energy from food is unrelated to the energy content of the food. So just because there's a certain amount of calories in the food doesn't mean that's how many calories you extract. And so I'm not trying to fly in the face of the idea that it's calories in and calories out that can help you achieve weight loss, but I do want you to understand that we have only a certain amount of influence over these different characteristics. The calorie output can be varied hugely by our activity level, our body composition, our ability to exercise, all of these things, our age, hormonal balance, all of these things change over time, and they can change dramatically to where there's a difference of 300, 400 calories a day, and that's a huge amount. That's a whole meal. So how many calories do you need to eat to lose weight? Not only do I not know, but if anybody tells you they know, you should not listen to that person. You should scroll on or move on or hire somebody else or whatever you want to do. But it is a complex equation. It is calories in, calories out. That is the basis of weight gain and weight loss. However, the calories that you extract from certain foods may not reflect the calorie on the labeling, particularly things like almonds and pistachios. And I posted some links to articles that have demonstrated just that very recently in my Twitter feed. Hopefully you can get on there and take a look at those article links. It's fascinating stuff, really. And I took a look at some research that I put on there just today. And the quote that I found was that if you look at longitudinal and cross-sectional population studies, frequently there's a difficulty in identifying any correlation between calorie intake and weight. So why do I stress this when I'm talking about the Get Fit and Be Lean program? Because the Get Fit and Be Lean program is a portion control program. I don't really look that carefully at the calories or what kind of calories you eat. I don't try to demonize food. I don't try to say, well, this is a good food and you should only eat this. This is a bad food and you should. I do strive for the 2 veggie goal. I try to eat 2 servings of raw or steamed vegetables at lunch and 2 servings at dinner. What do I mean by a vegetable? When I ask my patients that, almost inevitably they'll say lettuce. And I say, yes, lettuce is a vegetable. Way to go. Leafy green grows above the ground. And then they'll say tomatoes. And although it's sold in the same section in the grocery store, tomatoes are not a vegetable in the sense that I mean. They do grow. That is the correct answer if somebody's asking you animal, mineral, or vegetable. However, they are a berry. They are a storage reproductive organ for the plant. Thin skin, contain the seeds. And so typically people will say carrots. Carrots, again, are a tuber. They grow under the ground. They store starch for the plant. And so when I talk about leafy green vegetables and the 2 veggie goal, I'm talking about lettuce. Okay, yes, that is correct. But if you can only come up with lettuce and broccoli or maybe spinach, that's only 2 or 3 choices. And if I'm saying I'd like you to eat 2 servings at lunch and 2 servings at dinner, then at that point, you really have to be able to expand your vegetable repertoire. So you've got to include kale and arugula and broccoli rabe and fennel. And a lot of those leafy green vegetables really aren't the things that all of us are used to cooking. I've really had to kind of help my wife in expanding our vegetable repertoire, and she's a great cook. And so she's got a recipe for fish on a bed of vegetables, and I've started cooking with kale myself. I have a great salad that I make with avocado, so I'm able to achieve this 2 veggie goal, and it's played a big role in what I call satiety index. If you can look that up, the satiety is how full do you feel when you're eating, and if you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to eat less than you're burning, it's really important to feel like you're getting enough food. And so I talk about the portion control and how to adjust that and how to use our own psychology in convincing our body that we get enough food. So calories in, as I said, the absorption of calories, that unit of measure that is put on the packaging, that it comes from the USDA, we're looking very closely at those numbers. They're going to be recalculated, and they can be really altered by what your lipid content is in your blood, because that's going to affect how your body absorbs fats and lipids. And all of these things really are not simple, but I'll be honest with you, my reason that I don't count calories, I don't want to do the math. Okay, I just don't want to deal with trying to count that up every time I go to eat. I'm easy with portions. Okay, portions are pretty simple, but if you start talking about calories and you got to add it up and figure out 3 times a day, or did I have a snack so it's 4 times a day, and how do you split it up, really just it's not something that I'm going to maintain in the long term. And maintenance over the long term is the Achilles heel of almost every dietary approach that is being expounded in the press and published about. Doesn't matter what diet you look at, going all the way back to Atkins and on through the keto and the carnivore and the Beverly Hills and all of those different kinds of diets. If you take a look at anybody who's successfully lost weight, 2 years, 5 years later, they've regained the weight. And in fact, they even gain more because they've slowed down their body's metabolism through a process called thermogenic adaptation. And that's why the simplistic approach of calories in, calories out really falls apart in most people's individual attempts to lose weight, because the reality is it can get really depressing when you know for a fact you've eaten the exact same thing that you ate 6 months ago over a period of a week, because you don't have a lot of variety in your diet. And you look and you haven't lost any weight when you lost a pound or 2 pounds at the same time 6 months before. And so it gets really frustrating because people don't take into account thermogenic adaptation, our body's desire for homeostasis, what we call staying the same. Your body doesn't want to lose weight. And if you eat enough, your body will gain weight. But we all know people who may eat a whole lot and not gain weight. And so looking at the caloric content of their food versus our food is not going to be of any benefit. And having some rigid breakdown of calories that we say you need. And I think the biggest, sorry about that. I think the biggest offender in that right now that's really getting a lot of press is Noom, and people are going on Noom and they're giving an instant 1,200 calorie a day diet. That's not enough for a toddler. That's crazy. So take a look at your portions. What portions are you eating? Look at the USDA if you really want to get an idea. Get a set of kitchen scales and start first thing in the morning. You'll see some of my videos. Portion control starts in the morning, because that's how I make sure that I'm not starving to death when it's lunchtime and I suddenly have to eat 2 or 3 portions. And if I maintain reasonable portion intake over a period of a day, 2 days, 5 days, then at that point, I'm not feeling hungry. I'm feeling very satisfied. Even if I have a negative overall calorie balance and I'm achieving some weight loss, it doesn't mean that I'm feeling deprived. And the reality that I see is that a lot of people who devise these popular diets, I think they may hate food. They don't want you to eat any noodles or biscuits or pancakes. I don't like pancakes. They don't want you to have any meat. I mean, I like meat. I like food. And so to say offhanded, oh, well, you need to eliminate all of this or all of that, obviously portion control becomes more important when you have a calorie-dense food. And just because you've had one portion, you don't want to then have 2 or 3 portions of that same calorie-dense food, things that are heavy in sugar, things that have a lot of fats. And these, starches are very bioavailable calories. So the calories in starches does tend to be more reflective of how much you actually extract. But that's why I don't count calories in the Get Fit and Be Lean program, and I never have. I couldn't tell you how many calories I've eaten in a day in any one of these days over which I've been able to really change my physical fitness and appearance. Exercise is obviously a big part of it, but it's really funny if you look at some population studies that are done on people in communities in Africa that walk everywhere, they don't drive, and they don't really burn that many more calories in a day than a sedentary American. So this stuff is a lot more complex than it's presented by most popular literature. And I really love the reference I came up with. I posted on my Twitter account today. It was that Harvard, if you do a search under counting calories, Harvard Health will give you a calorie counter. This is how you count your calories. And the very next page you find under that Google search is don't count your calories. So you won't see me counting calories. I don't really talk much about them other than talk about calorie density and extremely sweet or starchy foods. And I do think that does come into play, but not if you limit yourself to a single portion. Generally, if you move on and the next thing you're eating is nuts and having a high protein snack or cheese, you're going to find that you're going to achieve the goals that you want. And you can achieve them over the long term and you can sustain them. And that's the message that I'm here to carry. You don't need to spend a ton of money. You don't need a membership, an enrollment, a subscription. you can do this, and you can do it by following my videos, looking at my workouts. You can go back to January 1st of 2021 on my TikTok account and just follow along. You can see how you can adjust all of these exercises to your own abilities. You can do them anywhere. They don't cost a thing. But you do need to start today. It's not something that you can keep putting off and keep putting off. There will come a time where you just can't exert that kind of energy. And there will come a time when, listen, I see lots of people who are very obese at 20, 25, 30, 35, and it doesn't have a big impact on their life. They can still have sexual intercourse. They can still pursue the activities that they want. But then they start hitting 45, 50, obese people in their 70s and 80s are not doing well. They're struggling. They got increased amounts of osteoarthritis. They have a lot of different problems that are brought on. So toss that whole idea of body positivity out the window. I'm positive that 2/3 of the people in the United States anyway are overweight. Many of them have conditions related to that excess weight, which makes them morbidly obese. And they need to address it. It's a huge problem, and it really does cause a lot of medical issues. So this next week, I'm going to talk about the body mass index and what it's good for. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the backlash we've seen and where that's coming from, and how you can use or not use the body mass index as you choose, and what we use it for as physicians, which is really important. And it's not a number that's going anywhere anytime soon as far as the medical community goes, because it's too powerful as a predictive tool. So I hope you'll keep an eye out for my next live. It'll be the same time, 7:30 Pacific, and it'll be next Sunday. Thank you very much. And I hope if you have any questions, if you've had a chance to join the lives or view the lives, you'll give me your questions in the comments. I'll try to address them. You can put them on you can retweet my tweets and agree or disagree with the studies that I publish. I'm really hoping for some engagement here. That's what I've been really missing since I left TikTok because of the Ukraine war and the fact that #Ukraine was never trending on their Discover page. Hoping I'll be able to go back at some point because I had more than 70,000 followers there, but I am getting hundreds of views in a lot of my little videos. And so I hope you guys will engage, send it to your friends, ask questions. I'll be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you had a good live stream, and I look forward to hearing from you.